about today.
Yes,
And in
sir.
order to do that, Quace is going to hold it down for us behind the scenes, which we greatly appreciate. And let me say at the outset, before we get in and lay everything out and tell you how you can connect, that everything you will hear are the views of these two persons here, do not necessarily represent the views of Power Interfaith. They're the sponsor. But again, on this show, we just kind of just go all in on our own particular views. That
Mm-hmm.
is our right. It is still America. And as long as it's still America, we
Mm.
can do that. Is that you, man? You sound kind of like Trump over there. You all
I'm,
right?
I'm just thinking, is it C or is it triple K's? I just was curious.
America. Well, I don't know. As long as you just drop the A, you got to like put that little colon on the top. America. We're gonna
I,
we're gonna we're gonna talk about America because a whole lot happened in America yesterday.
yo, that's no
So
joke.
man, seriously. So listen, 900 AM is the old school. That is the original signal. That is the mothership of all the connections. And I know some people still listen there. You can also go to 96.1 FM. You can go to wordradio.com. You can also go to the App Store, your favorite App Store. Download the app WURD. And listen, for those of you who are really savvy, pick up your device, your cell phone, or wherever you connect to the internet
Hmm.
and find us on YouTube Live or Facebook Live, where the conversation is always, they're always 2 or 3 steps ahead of us. You know, we're always trying to catch up with them. I don't even know what they're talking about this morning, but get on over there. In fact, we're already up and live. And when you get there, do us a big favor and hit the share button. Send this out to your friends and your families. Great weather on tap today and tomorrow. Get out there, do something that is socially distant, but also enjoy this wonderful weather. Now, that being said, oh boy, where do we begin today? Well, I mean, what's front and center on your mind? I mean, I don't. Which
So,
one is it?
I mean, so this has been, you've heard me talk about this over and over again, so this will be new for the listeners, but I have deep concerns about all these dog whistles that Trump has been putting out there about the election and what he's going to do and what he wants his people to do. And many of us learned yesterday that there was a plot to kill and kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. And it was foiled by the Department of Justice. The U.S. Attorney announced for the state of Michigan, announced it yesterday. There were 6 people that were involved. These folk had also been some of the folk that had protested during COVID that they wanted the state opened again. And they came out, planned, got folk from other states to join them in this effort. These are the folk that actually took over the state capitol during the COVID crisis. Many of you remember they started having these rallies because they wanted the states open again. They wanted the economies open again. And in a particular situation of the state of Michigan, they actually had long rifles and took over the state capitol, chased the governor out of the building. Her security got her ushered out of the building. Matter of fact, it was so bad that some of the black legislators in Michigan, state legislators in Michigan, when they finally went back into the building, had armed security escorting them into the building. So we learned about this plot. And, this is part of Trump's dog whistle, right? This is what he is saying to his people, what he was putting out there, that he wanted to see stuff like this happen. He put out there all kinds of nasty information. He went all in on Gretchen Whitmer, called her a whole bunch of different names, and basically told his people to go out there and do what they had to do. And that's exactly what they were planning to do. I don't know how they feel about the fact that his Department of Justice is now going to prosecute them, but it will be interesting to see if they actually get convicted.
Whew, 6 people arrested, and they face life in prison if convicted.
If convicted.
And again, we have to say that they have been accused, but the FBI has spent a lot of time with this. They are the Wolverine Watchmen. That's the name of this particular militia group. At least the allegation is that they are part of this militia group. And now, interestingly enough, it has a local connection because one of the persons arrested is from Bear, Delaware, which is about 45 minutes from where we are. And so this is, so apparently they're, reaching out and recruiting according to the allegation. Now, this is not something that's spur of the moment. The FBI has been on this for a while. And what's interesting to me, among other things, is the president's response to this. As you said, in a lot of ways, a lot of people are attaching this act to him. Now, of course, he's going to distance himself. And I would say that, yeah, can you necessarily attribute someone's actions to the words of another? No. But in the minds of voters, yes. Right? So he's not going to be able to you couldn't go after Trump and have him arrested for inciting this.
Right.
So you and I would agree that his words have probably incited some of this. But in the minds of voters, voters can make that connection and make decisions based on what they believe. So in the wake of this, Jason Miller, I happened to catch his interview. Now, Jason Miller, man, this guy, he started off 4 years ago. He's one of Trump's press people. Seemed to be kind of a decent guy. He's repping his guy. That's what you do. You're in politics. You got to rep your person's position. But, man, he is just he's gone to another level of low. He actually was on there basically saying on an interview, I think with CNN, I'm not sure, I can't find the source, but I saw the video where he's saying that Gretchen Whitmer is making all this up. This is a hoax.
That should not surprise us. But it's his Department of Justice that discovered the plot and is breaking this down, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the contradiction, because on the other hand, Trump is tweeting. So Trump's tweets yesterday were crazy. Let me just read a little bit of this. This is Trump at 9:30 p.m. last night when he should be sleeping and getting rest because he got COVID-19 still.
He's healed.
Oh, that's right, because he's a perfect specimen. Did you see that?
He's healed. I didn't see the perfect specimen piece, but I knew he said he's healed.
So there's a fake meme out there saying that they didn't find DNA, they found USA. They haven't quoted saying that. That one is, folks, that's a joke. That one is not real. But he did say yesterday, among other things, all day tweeting, that a part of the reason why he's been quote unquote healed is because they've discovered that his body is a perfect specimen. I'm just going to set that on the table there.
I'm not going to touch that because there's so much I can say about that. There's so much.
I mean, LeBron James is probably jealous right now. He's like, I wish I had a body like that. I could dunk so much better with that body because he is a perfect specimen. Tom Brady wants Trump's body. Oh my Lord. As he says, as he's like coughing all over over an interview last night, by the way. I don't know if you caught that, wheezing, kept going on mute on the telephone on Fox Business because he kept coughing because, he's got
no air.
He got COVID-19.
Yeah.
But I digress. This is his tweet. Governor Whitmer of Michigan has done a terrible job. This is last night after the governor has been discovered there's a plot to kill her and kidnap her. And this is the president's response to a governor. You do know in moments like this, typically, even with your political adversaries, you take the high road, and this is the moment where the president says something like, hey, there's no place for this. We could disagree later. There's never time to go after political enemies. This is ridiculous. That's when you say this. But instead, he says she locked down her state for everyone, except her husband's boating activities. The federal government provided tremendous help to the great people of Michigan. My Justice Department and federal law enforcement announced today that they foiled a dangerous plot against the governor of Michigan. Rather than say thank you, she calls me a white supremacist, which she did not, while Biden and Democrats refuse to condemn Antifa and anarchists, looters, and mobs, again, not true, that burn down Democrat-run cities. And then he adds in the third tweet, I do not tolerate any extreme violence. Defending all Americans, even those who oppose and attack me, is what I'll always do as your president. And then he ends his tweet with, Governor Whitmer, open up your state, open up your schools, and open up your churches, !
So this just reminds me of 1984, the book by George Orwell, which was doublespeak.
Yeah.
And everything was doublespeak. I mean, there's so many lies in that one tweet. So many lies in that one tweet, right? It's just pure doublespeak. Pure doublespeak.
It's quadruple speak. I mean, I'm tripping over myself. It's like So I'm encouraging. Again, I'm ramping the violence back up at the end. In the middle, I'm acknowledging that we foiled the plot. In the beginning, she's a horrible person. Man, this guy. I don't know if it's the steroids. I mean, we know that he's on some heavy medication.
Yeah.
But yeah. And meanwhile, in Kenosha, Wisconsin, they're having a difficult time extraditing Kyle Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old who shot and killed two protesters. Again, people are trying to make the connection that this was also militia activity. He is saying it was self-defense. Most people in the crowd and the witnesses are saying, nope, you shot and killed two people. Well, you shot one, and then you shot the second person who was trying to stop you. But his attorneys are saying, listen to this argument, why they don't want him to go back to Wisconsin to face trial. They are making the claim, and these are their words, the attorney's words. They use the word, the phrase that it would be turning him over to a mob.
It would be turning him over to a mob. Criminal justice system. See, this is, oh, geez.
I mean, dude, it's like, you're from Illinois. I mean, I ain't trying to throw shade on Chicago, but I'm like, Chicago calling Wisconsin a mob? I'm sure there's something we could compare that to. It wouldn't be nice. And so this is the world that we're in right now. And it is very frightening for elected officials. I'm hoping that Governor Wolf here in Pennsylvania is taking precautions, and Governor Murphy over in New Jersey, our neighbor, are taking real precautions, because for some of these people, they have made this the big issue of their life. I mean, remember we went to the last Civil War was because of the issue of slavery, right? I mean, property and people, and all this was ramped up. These folk want to do a civil war because of masks.
Well, that's what Attorney General William Barr compared wearing the mask mandate to Civil War. To slavery. He compared it. Remember, we talked about that a few weeks ago on the show, where he was speaking at a Christian college and told the folk there that the mask mandate was the equivalent of slavery, and then denied it later on. But they had the tape that they played for him of him saying that. This is.
Yeah. So here we are right now. This is an important moment in the country. And I think we're obligated to talk about the fact that this is why the returns at the ballot boxes across the country, especially in battleground states this year, it has to be so decisive.
Absolutely.
There can be no close races in places like Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin and Arizona and Ohio and Florida. I mean, it just cannot. It has to be a clear repudiation of this behavior and who this president has become. Asa Khalif on Facebook Live, I agree with you. He's gone mad. You know what I mean? And again, I don't know if it's he's always, been kind of just like, bombastic. But it's like where we are right now is a new place where you can't pause for a moment to acknowledge that a sitting governor of a state that you are the president of, she's only one of 50, and she is, regardless of what you think of her. I mean, last week, no matter what she thinks about you, the day you caught COVID, I guarantee you will not find tweets out there about her saying what she really felt about you catching COVID. She said probably what all politicians say in this moment. Our thoughts and prayers are with the president in this moment. We pray for a speedy recovery for him and his wife and his family. And she probably felt like this sucks, but I got to say it. Because that's what you do in a civil society, right? It's not like in a civil society, you don't go to somebody's funeral and say what you really feel. The person is dead, You say they were really a wonderful person. You send flowers in a card, and then you talk about what you really want to talk about in the parking lot with everybody else. This guy, he is just lost. He never had a filter, but it's completely gone.
Well, he is absolutely dangerous. I think the word that I want to use to define the last 3, almost 4 years of our life is dystopia.
Yes.
So for those
Yes.
that want to know. So utopia is the idealized society, and dystopia is a chaotic society, right? And there's really not it's just chaotic, and pretty much what Donald Trump has done has created a chaotic society, and in much the same way that Hitler used his military forces and the Luftwaffe to use blitzering, which was a tactic which was just about vast, overwhelming craziness of attack, usually by the Air Force. Trump uses the Twitter this exact same way. Trump uses Twitter to do blitzerings, right? I mean, if you look at him sometimes, I don't even know where he's getting sleep. I don't know how he is actually, because he just tweets constantly. And he's just constantly creating these statements. I mean, this will be the first presidency that Twitter actually became the main source of understanding what the president thought. Not the press conferences.
Yeah.
Not in-depth interviews with him, but Twitter tells you exactly what he is saying and thinking, and he used Twitter to create a dystopian society.
Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick break to catch our breath. And I mean, and honestly, folks, that's not even the crazy stuff that happened yesterday. That's just some of it. So we'll come back, we'll talk about everything else that occurred, and talk a little bit about some of the local things here in Philadelphia as well. Man, another bloody couple of days in the city of Philadelphia, and a lot to cover. This is the Power Hour with Bishop Dwayne David Reister and Mark Kelly Tyler. We'll be right back.
Yes.
Reverend Tyler, with November 3rd around the corner, do you know how you'll be voting this year?
Dr. Callahan, I requested my mail-in ballot, and I'm returning it the day it comes in the mail.
That's perfect, because we can't leave anything to chance this year.
Already received your mail-in ballot? You're just a few simple steps away from turning your mailbox into a ballot box. Here's how. After selecting your candidates, place your marked ballot into the small secrecy envelope and seal it. It's a 2-envelope process, so then you'll place the small secrecy envelope into the larger one. Make sure to seal that one too. Sign and date it, and then it's as simple as dropping it in your mailbox, no postage necessary, or returning it to your county election office. And if you still want to sign up to vote by mail or find out where to drop off your mail-in ballot, visit votespa.com.
I'm not waiting until November 3rd. I'm returning my mail-in ballot the day it comes in the mail.
Or you can return your ballot to your county election office.
I've got my plan. Make your plan to vote today.
Paid for by Power Interfaith.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
But they've got the experience.
I'm still in shock 3 or 4 years later that we're in this position now. Our democracy is at a pivotal point.
From the top, we don't trust our government. We see the trouble we're in economically. We've got 170,000 Americans dead, and yet this president will do anything he can to make it seem like things are better than they are.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
It's our responsibility. If we don't lead that effort to make things better, we can't ask other people to do it. There is no good reason not to vote.
Right, we need to have individuals that are in office like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
They are our best shot to take us forward.
And that's what makes me incredibly hopeful, but we really do have to work for this thing.
To the thousands who did not vote, we need you to show up for our future and for our country.
You cannot sit on the sidelines. You got to get in the game.
Paid for by Biden for president.
It's the return of Nick Taliaferro. Catch Nick beginning Tuesday, October 13th. Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. Nick Taliaferro makes his return Tuesday, October 13th from 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. Exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live at WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook.
Tune in this Sunday at 2 p.m. for the Gastrology Conversation Show, providing information and understanding about your colon health with Dr. Stephen Blake.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. Pretty good start here in Philadelphia this morning. 95 southbound, late volume coming down through Bridge through that work zone. Further south, no other issues yet. Northbound looks good. Vine Expressway in pretty good shape through Center City, Philadelphia. Schuylkill Expressway westbound between University and 30th. So slowing through that work zone. Eastbound side, no issues. The PA Turnpike, Bluebird 476 moving fine. In New Jersey, 42, 55, 295, all in pretty good shape early on this morning as well. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour with Mark Kelly Tyler, Dwayne David Royster. We are here with you Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., bringing you the best in politics, latest happenings, and, of course, our opinions. You are also welcome to join us on Facebook Live, and you can go to WURD Radio or YouTube Live to check us out there as well. So there were other things that were on your mind this morning that you wanted to talk about. What else is happening?
Well, I just want to say that commercial they run every day, the Biden campaign, where Trump talks about he's done more for black people than anybody except Abraham Lincoln. And, I think if I were a super PAC, I would actually just do a recording of that ad playing while they're showing us on commercial as we're up here on the screen and capture our laughing at the exact same time. Every time we get to that point.
Every time.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. It just completely took me off my game. It is so hilarious, right? I mean, the fact that, his people are out there saying he's going to get but he got twice as many black votes as Mitt Romney. I'm like, yeah, so he got 8%. Mitt Romney got 4%.
Yeah, it's not a high standard there.
Mitt Romney ran against a black president. What did you expect? But speaking of voting, so here's something that is on my mind that really kind of took me aback yesterday. I don't know how to feel about this, honestly. So one of the greatest NBA players of all time, person who has often spoken out about causes, he's certainly not a LeBron James in that regard. He's not a Jim Brown before Jim Brown went crazy. In that regard, but he's not necessarily been silent either. He's not been afraid to hold, to speak his mind on occasion. Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq Diesel.
Yes.
Shaq Diesel admitted yesterday that his mail-in ballot for the 2020 presidential general election is the first time that he has ever cast a ballot.
Wow. What a time.
I mean, better late than never. But, a lot of folk were, we've heard this before. We met people like this who kind of had an awakening. One of my favorite stories is Ike Raw, who used to be a morning host on WURD, great, young activist here in the city. Ike's first, time voting was about 4 years ago because he got fired up around the DA election. And he always tells a story about, he didn't think, voting really was going to do anything. And now Ike's really out there. But this is Shaq, bruh. And I'm like, they're pointing out that there are a bunch of pictures of him sitting next to Obama at events. And he rolling with Obama. I got to imagine, if you're Obama this morning, you're waking up and you're reading that story and realizing that Shaq never voted for you.
Here's the thing. Let's get serious for a moment. Let's get real serious for a moment.
Yeah.
Part of this, there is a whole group of folk, black folk, that do not vote. And some of them for some good reasons, and perhaps some good reasons. Some of them for just don't really care, don't see the relevance to their daily life. They don't, they feel the struggle. But the reality is, the last 3.5 years, the uprisings, the increased police violence, the increased tension, the economic pressure we're feeling in our communities is all attributable to 44,000 folk that didn't vote in Pennsylvania. There were 500,000 people in Philadelphia that didn't vote, right? There were